How we are making our biosand filter on the homestead. This is a filter in use by, I think, 800,000 different individuals all across the world. The design is extremely basic. You basically have different layers of rock, sand inside here, and that's what you filter through. Now, the fluid actually goes into the pipe. There's a bunch of holes down in there, and it rises up to the top, and it comes out the valve. The water level in here will always be about this high, and you end up with a biolayer, different microorganisms that essentially eat different things out of the water, and that will end up trickling down, and it goes down slowly into a sand layer, big sand layer all through there. And that darkness and the amount of time that it sits in there makes sure everything is completely dead, and then it rises up and comes out here and you fill your container. You need to run it once a day. The biolayer always has to remain wet, always having water on it, and it's a very cool way that folks are getting clean water in, especially other nations, third world nations. But we are going to do it here, even though my water tank, I have a lot of treatment that I plan to do with it. Right now it's not doing real well, and so it's great to have a backup setup like this, which I have to wait 30 days of establishing the biolayer first. But let's get into it. Down at the creek, we washed a bunch of stone and got it to approximately a 5'7" gravel size or something close to it, and we are going to put that in here for the first probably 3 inches or so. Once we've got all that in there, the next step is they put a smaller layer of rock, and that layer of rock will be used to hold the sand up, essentially. I may actually do a different size, a couple different sizes, but the original instructions, you can find a PDF for it online if you search for biosand filter. Just call for 3 different sizes: large, smaller, and then sand. While I was down at the creek washing the rocks, it was very easy to sort it by size, doing it through different size meshes. So it was real easy to get this different size, and then we've got an even smaller size hanging out right there. We'll get about 2 inches of rock in there. That's really looking pretty good. Next up, we've got some aggregate about this size. We've got one size smaller than this that we may add as well, and then we'll do the sand. Should just keep the sand from ever falling all the way to the bottom. Only ended up putting about 1 inch or so in there. I really don't see a need for a whole lot more, and I want plenty of room for sand. This doesn't hold the sand up. I don't know what will. Washing sand is actually one of the most critical parts of this whole process. And I'm going to just skip past the washing, because I'm sure you can figure out how to just repeatedly rinse sand. There's a million ways to do it, but you want the water to be somewhat cloudy but not super murky. So you need to actually be able to see the sand through a couple inches of water, which I know I only have 1 inch there. Seems like this camera's not doing amazingly well for me, but that is about perfect. There's actually small grains of sand in there that you're wanting to keep, as that's going to be part of your filter. But if you don't wash it enough, the water won't flow through well. If you wash it too much, it'll flow through really well, but it won't filter as well. So it's a delicate balance. Since we happen to be right here next to some unwashed sand, I'll just go ahead and show you what unwashed sand looks like. I make a mess. That is actually better than I was anticipating, but it's quite murky. After a couple seconds, yeah, it just looks like very dirty water. You really can't see through it at all. Very slightly, but you need to wash it a number of times until it becomes just like I showed before. Just keep bucketing sand, and more sand, and hopefully I have enough and don't have to wash more, because washing the sand is one of the most boring and tedious jobs available. Well, that's all the sand we have. We're a little bit short, but that's okay. I got a pickup truck load of sand right there. I just need to wash it. So we'll get it washed, and then we will put something on here to keep the water from digging into the sand, we can't have any channeling down through there, or it'll totally defeat the purpose of having a filter. Alright, got plenty of sand in there. Actually filled it with water, and I've extended a piece of hose on here because I didn't have enough sand to keep going, and I thought, well, what's the point of that? The only reason I need more sand was to make the water level be about 2 inches. That's to help the biolayer and keep it oxygenated. So all I have to do is extend this pipe to decrease where the water line is actually going to be. So I have done that. Actually thinking I'll make another piece and route it into the lid of the secondary container. But under normal operation, you will not actually ever turn this off. This will always be open, and that way it always maintains a 2-inch level, or it's constantly dropping to get to the 2-inch level. And it needs to be run through once every 48 hours. You know, at least run some water through. And then the drinking container will always be the one that determines what happens. But I'm going to get this built up so it spouts at a much more manageable level, and we've got probably raised it about 1 foot without any issues, so we'll definitely do that. And I need to come up with some kind of water diffuser like I mentioned before, but other than that, we're going to be operational. And a few days later, we've got it pretty much operational. I do need to get a way to mount this in place, but I'm going to use this old perforated pan as a diffuser, just keeping the stream of water from disturbing the sand layer. We've got to wait about 30 days of using this before we have a biofilm in there, and I need to get that mounted up, and I need to get from the water area a hose that comes in here so it's just easy to operate. But once this gets filled, water automatically travels down from there, and we'll end up filling the tank. And it's got a slightly yellowish tinge to it, as we're still washing and letting it settle all the way through there. But other than that, we're doing really well. Look forward to an update in the future, and if you like the content, like the video, please hit that subscribe button and follow us here as well as over on TikTok.